Okay, it's really, really nice to be here. And I want to talk about how to build AI features we actually want, and why I think it's so important to actually figure out what the desired future for ourselves, especially in public sector, but for all. I have my background in sociology and ethnography, and I jumped from academia to applied human sciences. That means I have been called strategic designer, as I am now also in some places, management consultancy, human-centric designer, or developer, whatever you feel like, or Foresight. But for me, everything is about human. I connect bridges to human, to tech, to organizational change, and I think that is what makes me a kind of designer and collaborating with human sciences. But AI is not just about human versus machine to me, but I always find it interesting how tech in general has shaped and reshaped our experiences and organizations. For example, I remember the late 1990s. My dad was in his 50s, and he had to take a course on internet. And it's kind of interesting now, but he was a little bit excited, really confused. At his age, does he really actually need that to something? And now, having 2 kids, they need it all the time to everything that they do. But I could kind of relate to this. What is this, and do I really need that? 2 years ago, when Gen AI kind of hit all of us. So we had to kind of figure out what it is and how I am as a human and as a person, as a designer and human-centered designer. What should I do with this? But currently I work in Kela, which is a Finnish social insurance institution. We served all Finns and people living in Finland with all the benefits from birth to pension. So a total of 17 billion euros of benefit annually. So quite a lot. But the stakes in public sector AI is profoundly human. It's not just about the money. Because we cannot embrace the fail fast in a similar way that the private sector can. Just like test it and look if it works. Because there's real people and really vulnerable segments that we are taking care of. So we need to figure out ways to experiment and learn fast without failing, or at least causing a real human suffer and harm. So we must build AI future with careful consideration and really think about what kind of future we want to have. So I come from our innovation and growth unit, which is a multidisciplinary team of 28. There are tech designer, architects, developers, machine learning, people that know those things really well, and then 4 designers. And we're responsible of Kela's experiments with different kind of emerging technologies. So not just like trying out and figuring out, but also how should we know a little bit more about this tech, how it would work, how could we take advantage of this, not just today, but for tomorrow. So AI and machine learning is one what we do, and we'll all take care of our chatbots and robots, so that's like the growth part. So we also have those kind of roles. But we want to bridge the social security ecosystems. So we don't just innovate with IT or Kela, but we want to have like holistic understanding of what our customers want and what is the kind of ecosystem that we want to build. Seamless public services, bridging tech and human. But today I won't be talking about that much of a tech coming from human sciences. My findings are based on phenomenon-based innovation that we do, where we researched last year of future of expert work in the age of AI. Once we started the interviewing people, there was a lot about the AI expert work. We faced quite a lot of emotions. Like my dad's confused about what is this, should I know this, why do I know this, how can I use it? Shame if people didn't understand how to use, or they felt that they are lesser than others or the knowledge of AI. Frustration, I think we all have figured that emotion. When you're trying to do something with the AI, it just doesn't work. or other way around, you're not sure what you're doing. And sometimes it might feel that someone is actually hanging on your back, a good and a bad way, but still, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time. And also about the hype, curiosity, excitement, as things are moving really fast. But I think it's interesting that emotions are not talked, especially in this seminar they are. But a lot of seminars and emotions are not present. I think tech is really masculine, really rational. But emotions are not just emotions. They affect our attitudes, expectations. At the end, they are part of what we think that is desired future. So that's what the emotions are, not just emotions. And because I'm a sociologist and ex-consultant and all that, so I did 2x2, of course, about the emotions and attitudes, how people think that their work is going to change through AI. But what I thought was really interesting was that when I went back and asked if I can use some of the quotes, people were saying like, yes, you can use my quote, but actually I was really in a transitional player, not sharing like it's not going to change my work, so you can use it, but less than a year ago, I was in a different position, and now my whole team is figuring out what to do with it. We're kind of excited. So I think it's interesting that the kind of tech moves really fast, but our expectation about tech and our attitude towards tech is changing too. But once we started discovering this, it's not just individuals that have different attitudes, and this 2x2 actually works for organizations too. As organizations develop AI cultures too. One of our interviewers said about their leaders or about their bosses, that the leader is exceptionally enthusiastic and repeatedly tells how he is using AI tool in his daily life and how it makes his life more efficient. This creates narrative that spreads throughout the whole organization. And this was a financial sector, and we're going to hear about financial sector. But let me tell you, it's quite similar than ours. So you just don't break fast things. So I think it's interesting because it's not just AI decisions or information that the leaders share, but they create AI narratives as well and become organization realities and create promises and expectations about how AI will or will not change, not the world, but our organization. So I think leaders' job isn't just approving AI budget or policies. They need to help people understand and set the mindset or make sense out of what is happening or what does it really mean for our organization and create this kind of psychological safety for experiments and failure and kind of boundaries. But AI is not always hype. It's sometimes really mundane and quite boring. For example, in Kela, our mundane AI is quite invisible for our customers and employees. Because today, citizens need to still send quite a lot of attachments before they get their benefits, and understandably, that can be really frustrating. So they will download the attachments. They're not really into like what type of names they have. From our side, it's quite big thing to understand what the actual attachment is about. So in order for AI is helping, so the frustration of a citizens doesn't come the frustration of our employees. So in the desired future, of course, we don't have the attachment at all. But now, once we have, the AI is quietly working on the background, renaming attachments in a way they should be, and kind of rotates the images and improves the document readability. I really like this boring, mundane, because this boring, mundane AI has preceded over 8 million attachments and saved 50 person-years of manual work annually. So you can imagine those 50 days rotating the picture, making sure the attachment name is right. So we all understand that this is something that we would not like to do. And I love these mundane AI also examples because, like emotions, these are rarely discussed. They are like under the radar, but not in the like really nice presentations, but they take care of our everyday work. It makes them more efficient, they have real impact. And like a lot of our interviews say, AI is really good when they come part of the process. So you have to have a process, and then it can has like a interesting small task. But of course, I have to say that the public sector is under pressure to find solutions, find efficiency, find more human-centric solutions and personalized services. In Finland, 27% of government workers are retiring in next decade. That's quite a lot of people. At the same time, our aging population needs more services, and citizens expect seamless, personalized services as they will get in Netflix or H&M or whatever. We have to, it's compared to that anyway. But governance and its tech solutions exist for society and its members, so we can have target groups in the same way. We include all Finns and people living in Finland, so we just can optimize or be more efficient. We must ensure that AI supports good governance principles like equality, transparency, and all that. And I start thinking this more and more as we go along with the AI journey, that this creates the fundamental question of values. In public sector, tech should actually fulfill the public values, not just make things faster or cheaper. That would be good bonus, and we need that. It's apparent. But AI always implements someone's value choices. So the question is, whose choices are we consciously, democratically taking, or implicitly and unstated? So I think we're ready to flip the question of how can we use AI finally to what kind of futures do we want to build? What can AI help, and if it can help us to do that? So in Kela, we use phenomenon-based innovation to help tackle these kind of questions and real problems that people have. This is one way of addressing broader societal, technological, and cultural phenomena. So this was brought to us. I was actually a consultant at the time in Kela, that because Foresight is really interesting, and you have to take it into account, but it's really high. And the tech people are really into details. So we have to find what is the phenomenon we're actually building this, what is the desired future, what is the thing we're actually creating solution for systemic problems. So we have 3 key steps to that. First, we research the real-world problems and realities, thinking of what actually is happening, what is actually changing. And somebody was stating earlier that what is not changing. I think it's really, really important to understand what is not changing as well. As a sociologist, I know there's a lot of things that are not changing, like core values and realities. So those have to be taken into account as well. Then we have human-centric design and experimenting, what can be possible, what should be possible. And then we'll learn and figure out who needs this information. So let me walk you through this. In research phase, researching the expert work, what is happening in the age of AI, we'd actually figure out how to get our directors also involved in this and figure out what is the topic, what are the real problems. But we interview also not just public sector, but private sector, lead users, researchers, to really understand what is this phenomena about. Last year's phenomena was about AI transformation. It was just like, I think we all were in that phenomena, just like trying to figure out what it is. Now it's more like what is actually happening, what can be actually be tangible to do, and what is desired future. And of course, we use the AI tools ourselves. And the whole team started it. And these tools were to understand what is actually changing. As an ethnographer, this is like what I do. I take it, I go there, and I figure out myself also what it means. And we got excited, we got frustrated, but we did it together. But we actually had a board that we needed to document, not just what you were using, but also to what did you learn, how did you feel. And it was really good understanding of how this works and what the value is. So we also learned that the successful implementation of AI actually is a learning a craft. So it requires time, practice, and especially support of other entire team. Once we realized this, we wanted to include our public sector colleagues, but because we know that we're in a position in the innovation unit that we can start learning, we can experiment, we can do stuff, but our colleagues are more bind to the work that they are. So we created these desired future workshops with Legos, and I think it was super interesting how the Legos are objects that kind of helped people to distance themselves to today's problems, and the kind of skepticism and the kind of I really don't like the whole idea to have this physical object that might not be so, it can be funny too sometimes. So it's easier to kind of collaborate and understand, start thinking about how should the expert world look like. So we weren't like AI first, but we were thinking like, what about your colleagues? How they should be involved in this. And once people build their hands, the inside emerge and kind of where this idea get shape. And not so surprisingly, the most repeated theme was meaningful work, of course. Nobody wants to rotate to pictures. But what the key learnings for us was that people want to, and they need to, figure out the desired future themselves and together. And this creates kind of environment and culture of change, and anticipation of something that could be also really positive. Because in AI, there's a lot of, in public sector, there's a lot of people that are a bit afraid and doesn't understand how it connects their work. It will in the future, but how can I start anticipating something interesting, maybe start learning and creating the future. Then we made human-centric experiments and test what could be or should be true. We did 4 experiments within 11 weeks to show what could be possible, starting with AI agents and kind of giving the AI agent, the individual team with AI agents, compare that to human teams and combining those two. And the obvious learning was that maybe the combining the human and AI agents would be the most efficient. But we also learned other stuff. And I think these are the moments that the tech people that are, it doesn't work. And designer comes, yes, but what did we learn? And this is the conversation that is ongoing all the time, because in tech world, it either works or it doesn't. And it's no use of going forward if it doesn't. But then we had practical trials, and we also wanted to show that we don't always need to code, we don't always need to tech developers, or we don't need the devices, but we can use design fiction to create a desired future, and then start discussing. So we did 2 experiments with HR management and way to get the AI into management, HR management, and future of AI-enhanced onboarding. So with this one, we created what could be possible in private sector interviews and benchmark what is happening right now on onboarding, what is actually real already, what is actually going to be real for tomorrow. Having that going into the internal interviews, really getting people's understanding what is the value that they're trying to get, what is the desired future, and combine that to the elements of desired future. Then with the elements, we created audio story of future of AI-enhanced onboarding process. And that wasn't the end result, but that was the starting point of starting to discuss with our organization within public sector what could be possible, what should be possible. It's so much easier to agree or disagree and start conversation once you have the audio story of somebody starting in Kela in 5 years or 10 years. But then, like I said, it's really important that we learn. So it's not just what we learn from ourselves, but in a larger scale. We have to ensure, compared to like private sector innovation, you get out of solutions, and they work or they don't work. But especially in private sector, in our innovation unit, we want to understand what is the learning from these experiences. So we use return on learning. So we try to learn as fast. Return on investment plus return on learning. To understand and get better at it all the time. And learning is like a building block for us. We have two types of learnings. Solution learnings, which are like what we learn from the experiments, prototypes, practical recommendation of experiments. But in this case, they had updated AI principles and how to actually get the ethical AI into the model and process. Practical recommendation for generated AI use, as we realized we don't have those. And at the same time, support materials if one of the operating teams would like to understand what the desired future is, and what should be the most valuable use cases. This is all important, but if our organization doesn't understand what is important, so we also serve as shifting the mindset to the directors, what they need to know, what they need to understand. And this is something that has been lacking in our organization. We learn a lot, and then the tech people and designers go and tell about that story and that experiment, but they don't get the results of like, what's the next step, what's the obstacles. So we had like free pass of saying like, what should we be doing, why things are not moving fast enough, and kind of what are the next steps. And we got really good conversation about desired future with the board, with the directors. So how do we build the AI future we actually want? I think we just shouldn't end up with the ethics. And we have been talking about AI ethics for years. Some of them might be implementing it, but I think we should start with values and get that at the core of what is our end goal, what are key principles that we need to follow. And then AI is not tech project. I think we're at the end when we can have separate subject matter and tech. We have to combine those. The actual value comes from multidisciplinary teams and taking seriously each other's perspective. And I have to say I've learned the most interesting stuff when I have been working with IT architect who doesn't understand what I do. I really don't know what they do. They do boxes. And they have their boxes and I have my insight. So we combine those, and I'm fine that it's going to be an Excel afterwards. But still, it's going to be better Excel with my insights in it. But I think the actual bringing together, so understand that this isn't, the AI isn't technical challenge. And I think we're in this time we need to understand it. It's a human, it's a social, it's an organizational challenge that we really need to tackle. And in order to do that, we have to have real world problems. And I think saying this to designers is like, yeah, sure. But we still need to take the basic principle of service design to tech, to AI development. And then creating discussion about the desired future, about the experiments, and building good critical thinking. Because even if we want to go really fast, I think we need the critical thinking. It makes the thinking better, it makes the development better. I think it creates the desired future that we really want, because it's tested among ourselves and with others. And so kind of anticipating and hoping that we will build this desired future together and start discussing what it means and all of us not thinking that the AI would be something out of my league or out of, it's not my problem, it's somebody else's, and I just come along. But I think it's our problem and our opportunity, as we will see soon. Because we want to be transparent, we want to get everybody in public sector together, and we are writing blogs about what we're doing, but we really would love to kind of get you all in to discuss about the future, the desired future, and the elements of desired future for us. Thank you.